Hello, world. We are back in this place where we do our interviews, at least the last two interviews. We are in the VCA studio, and Professor Sunil Parameswaran is with us.
Hello, how are you guys? Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a nice long drive from Kormangla to here.
Yes, it is.
How are you feeling?
Tired.
But, Prof, it's so great to have you on Gigsy.
Thanks very much, Vikram. I'm also very happy to be here.
The first finance subject matter expert.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
On Gigsy. How do you feel?
Glad to be here. Glad to contribute.
Yeah.
It's nice to be part of the action.
Great to know. And a couple of things that we will talk about during the course of this interview is to understand what the prof has done in terms of his career, and also get to know what he's doing on Gigsy, right? And how is he going to be able to contribute to people on Gigsy? How will the Gigsters benefit from Prof Parameswaran's classes, which we will talk about soon, right?
Sure.
So, Prof, you have a lot of allegiances with Manipal.
Yes.
Where did that story start? How did it start?
I went there as a visiting faculty in 1996, and it was love at first sight. It reminded me of the US. I studied in a small town in the US, and Manipal is the closest that you can get in India to a US-style university town.
Right.
So I worked with them for about 10 years, and I still have a place there, a home of my own, and I want to go back there someday. And last 1 year, I've been involved with social responsibility activities in Manipal. It's something very close to my heart. I've been thinking of it for a long time. Finally plunged into it. And Manipal was a very obvious choice because that's where I know a lot of people.
True.
And that's the town I connect with. So that's how I got into it.
Okay. Well, what exactly is this cause? What are you supporting and who are you supporting?
Right. I decided I would work only with government schools.
Okay.
And only on infrastructure.
Okay.
Hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure. And preferably something which is a blend of the environment and education.
Okay.
So I'm focusing on issues like bio toilets. I'm focusing on solar power.
Okay.
I've given solar power to 3 schools already.
Wow. Okay.
And water conservation. Then a lot of female students who need sanitary napkin dispensers, incinerators for those napkins for proper disposal of waste. Again, like I said, something to do with the environment as well as education. So these are some of the issues that I'm looking at.
Oh, that's brilliant. The cool thing now is that we are trying to associate the cause that you love so much along with what you're going to be doing on Gigsy per se.
Right.
So, quick couple of words before we get into details on what are you going to be your offerings on Gigsy.
Yes, I have been doing corporate training for about 15 years now. And recently, one of my clients said, why don't you structure a program for women employees? Let me tell you the kind of training I've been doing. I train software engineers on global financial institutions, products, markets, etc. I also do workshops on building financial acumen, which is basics of financial accounting. What is a balance sheet? What is an income statement? What is a cash flow statement? I also do financial management. How do you compute interest?
Right.
How does a housing loan work? Etc.
Yeah.
So the idea was to pick subtopics from these and structure them into a workshop for women employees. Women are now taking a lot of financial decisions at home and at work. So they need knowledge on fundamentals of accounting, fundamentals of finance. And this program, which we'll be offering through Gigsy, it will be catering exclusively to women. Students are welcome, and but I'm targeting mainly the professionals. And so anybody who wants to know how to handle her finances, how to make investments. You go to a bank or you go to a mutual fund, and a lot of what they talk is all Greek. And you cannot always assume that the relationship manager has your best interest at heart. He or she may be looking more at what you could do for the bank. Right? So it's important to be literate. It's important to be up to date. It's important to be aware of what's happening. What are the options? What are the meanings of these terms? Finance, as you know, has a lot of jargon. So I want to demystify all that.
Yeah.
And I've structured this program exclusively for lady students and lady employees of companies.
Oh, great. So there is going to be a format, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's going to be a 5-day workshop.
Yeah.
We're going to spread over 5 months.
Yeah.
Each month we meet once.
Yeah.
About 1.5 hours to 2 hours per meeting.
That's hardly any time, folks. That's hardly any time. 1.5 hours in a month. And that too, if you end up finding out how you're going to retire early, I mean, why not, right?
So somebody once asked me, "Can I get rich at 40?" I said, "Why not?"
Yeah.
If you know the nuances of everything of finance, there's no reason why you can't retire rich at 40 in today's world. There are people who are doing it.
Which means I need to figure out what to do in the next 5 years. I've inadvertently given my age away, but that's okay. No, that's fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
In front of me, nobody is old.
Don't flatter yourself. So ultimately, now we are talking about these financial classes happening over a period of 5 months, once in a month,
right?
And 1.5 hours, exclusively for women employees, women professionals, and women students.
Correct.
And they can go and subscribe to you on Gigsy, right?
Yes.
And they can actually get access to the workshop through Gigsy.
Yes. What I'll be doing is I'll be putting up an article on finance once a month, at least.
Yeah.
And they can read that.
Yeah.
And I will, once they've gone through some of these articles, I'll put up a multiple choice quiz.
Yeah.
And they can attempt that.
Yeah.
Just to figure out how much they've gotten from these articles.
Yeah.
And the solutions will be put up. They can grade themselves.
Yeah.
That's one offering on Gigsy.
Yeah.
And the other offering, of course, are these workshops.
Great.
The articles are open to everybody, irrespective of gender.
Yeah.
The workshops are open only to women.
Yeah. So that's very, very clear. You should go and access Professor Parameswaran's Gigsy profile. It is pretty cool, and it happens on April 30th. Yes,
that's it. The first workshop's on April 30th.
Yeah, the first workshop happens on April 30th, and the timings and all of that will be told to the folks who subscribe in advance, and you'll be able to see the location, the timing, and all of that when you actually subscribe to that tier that Prof Parameswaran has already created. His profile is very simple. It's gigsy.in/prof_skp, and you should be able to just find it there, and you should be able to subscribe to him pretty smoothly. Outside of that, Prof, you're an IMB alum.
That's right. I passed out in 1986 from IIM Bangalore.
Okay.
And subsequently, I taught there for a few years as a visiting faculty, not as a full-time faculty.
Okay.
I went to the US after IMB, did a PhD in finance. I taught in the US for a year. I taught in Singapore for 2 years. Then moved back to India.
Okay.
And these days, I'm a freelancer. I teach at a number of IIMs and a couple of non-IIMs.
Yeah.
And I do some corporate training primarily for IT companies.
Right.
That's me.
Okay, cool. So where did this love for finance start? I mean, was it during your PG days at IMB? Or?
My father was a chartered accountant.
Okay. Oh, so it runs in the family?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I joined IIM Bangalore, I already had an idea that I would do finance.
Okay.
And some of the professors at IIM Bangalore inspired me a lot.
Okay.
In the first year.
Any specific inspirations that you would like to talk about?
Professor Prasanna Chandra, whom almost everybody would be familiar with, has written a lot of books. He was one of my teachers.
Okay.
Professor Apte, who subsequently became director of IIM Bangalore, he was my teacher. Professor Vatsala Nagarajan in accounting. So these are all people with very good teaching skills and deep knowledge of the subject. So they stimulated me, and I decided I wouldn't go for a corporate career. I went straight for a PhD. Of course, to be frank, those days after IIM, we didn't have the kind of opportunities people have these days.
Yeah.
But I went ahead, did a PhD, then I taught abroad, and then came back. And I was a full-time faculty in Manipal for about 10 years, another institute for about 2 years. And then in 2004, I set up Tar Heel Consultancy and moved into corporate training. For about 8 years, I was almost an exclusive external vendor for Wipro.
Oh, okay.
Worked with some other software firms also, JP Morgan, Deutsche Software, HCL. These are some of the clients that I worked with. And so that's that.
Wow. So Tar Heel is a pretty interesting name for a consulting firm.
Yeah, let me tell you the story behind Tar Heel. Every state in the US has a nickname. New Jersey is called the Garden State. Florida is called the Sunshine State.
Mhm.
North Carolina is called the Tar Heel State. And I studied at Duke University in North Carolina, so decided to call it Tar Heel
Oh,
Consultancy.
interesting. What does Tahil even mean?
Right. During the US Civil War, apparently the North Carolina soldiers were very poor. The enemy said, "You're fighting as if you have tar on your heels."
Wow.
So the name stuck.
Okay.
And that's where Tar Heel comes from.
Okay. That's an interesting name and an interesting segue into the consulting portion as well. Prof, in terms of knowing, so you've been involved with Tar Heel now from 2004,
That's right.
right? So, and that's continued even
Yes.
now, and that continues even today. Just in terms of the financial course that you're offering for women entrepreneurs now, I mean, women professionals and women students, we were talking about how much of these can actually benefit the Manipal schools that you're trying to support.
Right.
So quick few
Sure.
words about that.
Yeah. Like I said, I work with schools in the Manipal Udupi region.
Yeah.
And I worked with 3 schools thus far.
Yeah.
And the focus has been solar power, toilet complexes, new classrooms,
Yeah.
furniture for existing classrooms. That's the kind of infrastructure I provide.
Yeah.
And I've decided that 50% of the proceeds from all these lectures will go to that cause.
That's brilliant. So you're actually not just going away with some learning capabilities on finance. You're actually contributing to a great cause. This is about helping students in Manipal, government schools, particularly in Manipal, and getting them to the next level of infrastructure so that they can focus on what they're supposed to be doing, studying properly, right? And you give them all the infrastructure that is needed. And it's beautiful to be contributing such a superb cause, and no better way than actually sharing knowledge, right? I mean, from your perspective, and then using that knowledge in turn to actually support Manipal.
Yeah, I mean, this is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Prof, outside of finance,
Mhm.
what do you like?
What do I like outside finance? I love writing.
Okay.
Again, that's related to finance.
Yeah.
I have published a number of books
Yeah.
in India, in Singapore,
Mhm.
and my first book in the US is coming out in July this year.
Wow. Okay. What's it called?
It's called Fixed Income Securities. This is essentially bond markets,
Okay.
and it's being published by a German publisher from Boston in
Mhm.
Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And I just came to know today that one of my research papers is being published in the US.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I collaborated with my friend Shankarshan Basu in IIM Bangalore,
Yeah.
and with Professor Shantaram Hegde of the University of Connecticut.
Yeah.
And the 3 of us wrote a paper on futures markets and derivatives,
Okay.
and that's being published next month.
Oh, brilliant. So this is in addition to the book as well.
It's in addition to the book, yeah.
Wow, cool. So, I mean, in general, outside of the writing portion,
Outside of writing, what else do you do? I listen to a lot of music.
what sort of music? do
I
you
love classical music, Carnatic
Okay.
as well as Hindustani. I love both.
Okay.
Hindi film music and my time Western music. I don't like today's bands. I'm
Yeah.
not into it.
Yeah.
But the old time favorites. I mean, I was not much into rock,
Right.
but I love the Doors.
I'm sorry.
I-
My music is not gonna help you. Yeah.
I love Jim Morrison and the Doors. That's the only rock band I like.
Okay.
Otherwise, I like softer music, Bee Gees,
Mm.
Carpenters,
Okay.
stuff like that. I enjoy that.
Cliff Richard.
Cliff Richard, yes. Why
Yeah.
not? Why not? Why not?
Yeah. So more or less related to that group.
Mhm.
Do you watch cricket?
I love cricket,
Yeah.
and I watch every. I mean, my mother hates it when I put on the test matches. She gets bored, but I love test matches. I also like T20s and ODIs.
Are you watching the IPL?
I do watch the IPL, but not regularly.
Okay.
I primarily watch when India's playing.
Are you a CSK fan or an RCB fan?
No
Spot.
strong loyalties. At home, mom is totally into CSK.
Oh yeah, Dhoni. Yeah.
But I don't have any particular favorites. I'd like to see an RCB match live one day. I still haven't done it.
Oh, you haven't done that?
No.
Oh, okay. Don't worry. I've been disappointed every time I've gone. I don't think we've won even once whenever I went there, so it doesn't really make a
Okay.
difference. I mean, at least the first match was a farce. I don't know if you saw the first
it was
one.
terrible. I saw that.
Oh my God! I was on vacation
Uh-huh.
and it spoiled my night.
Oh, yesterday's Delhi Bombay match is fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. To
I saw
watch.
Pant batting. Before
Yeah.
that, Calcutta and Hyderabad. Russell.
Yeah.
Great. That was some great innings yesterday.
Yeah, so the prof is a very big cricket enthusiast as well, in addition to finance. So just the concept of Gigsy, and why you thought this would actually work for you, and what in it, motivated you to put up your workshops and your other offerings.
Gigsy is a very interesting concept. When before I met you, somebody had already explained
Yeah,
Gigsy to me.
yeah,
I thought it was a great idea
yeah,
and something which is likely to work well.
yeah,
And then I was wondering, once we met, I was wondering how we could possibly collaborate.
yeah.
And that was around the time when I told you this friend of mine had given me this idea about
The workshops.
doing workshops for
Yeah,
women. So I
yeah,
said, why not try that out in
yeah,
Gigsy
yeah,
and try and reach out to women in Bangalore.
yeah, yeah,
And that's how it is. And you also suggested that I could possibly put up articles.
yeah,
I used to write regularly, initially for Business Line,
yeah,
and then for the Financial Express.
yeah,
So I like writing general articles, demystifying finance
yeah,
to non-finance people.
yeah.
So I thought I'd write some articles, put them up, and then somebody suggested, well, wanted to know whether periodically people could test their comprehension.
Uh-huh.
So I said, why not? How about some multiple choice quizzes? Put that up on
Oh, great.
Gigsy as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So that's how I have planned it.
Oh, superb. So this is in effect not just looking at this as a one-way street. This is about having that engagement going between you
Yes,
and
yes,
people who are
yes.
subscribing to you, so that there is enough understanding of what they're doing and questions and multiple choice quizzes, etc.
People can read my articles.
Yeah.
They can reach out to me anytime regarding any queries they have.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that's not clear or anything they want more knowledge on, I'd be very happy to provide them with that.
Yeah.
And although I'll be posting only once a month or maybe twice a month,
Yeah.
in case people want anything to be sent personally to them,
Yeah.
we can always email them. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
So if they reach out to me, it's going to be a constant engagement.
Mhm.
It's not a one-off thing.
Yeah.
And so people are welcome to approach me whenever they want
Cool.
any knowledge in finance.
Yeah. So there's a question that has come out there saying, outside of your workshop, how can beginners get started in finance?
Outside of the workshop, how do beginners get started? Okay. Read. Pick up a financial newspaper and go through it. In the beginning, you probably won't understand a lot of terms. Okay. But now you have access to Google.
Yeah.
Okay. My friend who's a marketing professor used to say, earlier days in India, they said Mata Pita Guru Devam.
Uh-huh.
Now it is Mata Pita Google Devam.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
you have Google where you can clear your doubts.
Yeah.
But the best way I would say is to read an Economic Times or a Business Line, go through whatever interests you, and then pick up from there.
Okay.
And what I did was I published a book called Futures Markets Made Easy with 250 Questions and Answers.
Mhm.
And what I did was I explained futures by creating a series of questions where one question led to the next.
Like a link.
And by the end of the book, people had almost all the concepts in place. Very little mathematics. Derivatives can have a lot of
Yeah.
mathematics.
Yeah.
And in fact, on Gigsy, one of my plans is to put up articles in this Q&A format.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, about various facets of finance.
Yeah.
And people will find that each fortnight's or each month's question leads to the next question. And over a period of time, they can tool up.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also give them pointers as to what else they can read up on.
Okay.
And where they could possibly find that information.
Mhm.
So
Hey, so this is great news, right? I mean, this is looking at finance, demystifying finance, making sure that it's broken down in very simple terms to you so that you can understand various facets of the subject itself through the workshops that the prof is going to do, plus also articles that he's going to put out on a platform. So I think a lot in general to look forward to with respect to the subject that the prof is very good at. So it's great to spread knowledge. It's also superb to actually know that this knowledge is being spread on the account of a great cause, a cause to actually help government schools in Manipal and get them up to speed with respect to infrastructure as much as possible. So great cause to support, and something for you guys to take away as well. And you folks should definitely subscribe, because there's a lot of knowledge you can get from Prof Parameswaran on the whole aspect of it. Prof, a couple of questions on growing up.
sure.
Where did you grow up? How did you start your childhood? Where did you start your childhood? Where did you school, etc., etc.?
I was born in Delhi.
Oh, you're a
And
Delhi person.
yes, I spent 10 years there.
Okay.
And then my father went to work in Africa,
Wow.
in Zambia.
Okay. What was he doing there?
He was a chartered accountant. He was
Okay.
working with the copper mines in Zambia.
Oh, okay.
So I lived there for a year, and I felt the standard of schooling wasn't comparable to what we had in India.
Right.
So I came back. I went to boarding school in Rajasthan,
Oh,
place called Mayo College. Some people may be aware of it.
okay.
And then I went back to Delhi, got a degree in chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Chemistry.
in chemistry, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Chemistry is the only science subject that I liked. And my father was very particular I should do science because science ensures that all avenues are open after college.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do physics or maths. I did chemistry.
Okay.
And then I got through the CAT.
Yeah.
And I also got articles for my CA.
Okay.
And everybody said, no, first person from the family to qualify for IIM.
Mm.
No question of rejecting it.
Just
You
go
must
there.
join IIM.
Yeah.
So I joined Bangalore.
Okay.
But I did a project in Hyderabad in my first year. Everybody had to do a project at the end of the first year.
Yeah.
And I felt I was more cut out for teaching than for the corporate world.
Right.
And like I told you, some of my professors are also very inspirational.
Yeah.
So I applied, got admission to a PhD, got a scholarship.
Yeah.
Spent 5 years getting a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Then worked in the US for 1 year at the University of Iowa. Then worked in Singapore for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then came back and started working in India.
What about teaching inspires you as a person? What do you get
It's
out
the
of
students. I mean,
Yeah.
every batch is different from every other batch.
Mm.
No two batches are alike.
Mm.
No two groups ask the same questions.
Mm.
And a lot of what I've learned about finance is based on some of the questions that the students have asked me.
Mhm.
And corporate training has also been very beneficial. Business school students and industry professionals do not react the same way to a lecture.
Mhm.
They have different questions to ask.
Right.
They look at things differently.
Mhm.
So I find teaching in a business school improves your corporate training delivery, and experiences with corporate training improves your delivery at a business school.
Right.
So I learned a lot. Like I said, I was working extensively with Wipro for 8 years, and I learned a lot from those guys.
Any specific classroom challenges that you recall that sort of put you on the spot and you were like, hey, what do I do next, or something like that?
It does happen.
Yeah.
Okay, because somebody will ask you something that is a bit off the track.
Yeah.
And you have to tool up and get back to it.
Yeah.
But I tell them, I said, look, this is not something that I'm very familiar with right now, but I will definitely get back to you.
Yeah.
And I do that a day or two later.
Yeah.
I tool up and go back and tell them.
Yeah.
And then we discuss that.
Right.
So, you're not evading the issue,
Yeah.
but you're kind of postponing the issue.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to handle it.
Yeah. Your general course format when you teach, is it mostly in terms of open book quizzes, or is it in terms of
Okay, how do I teach? I do a lot of exercise. I find the best way to learn is to have Excel open and keep doing problems as you go.
Yeah.
So I make my students and the professionals I teach spend a lot of time on Excel.
Okay.
And in fact, for these workshops, a laptop is absolutely mandatory.
Right.
I expect everybody to have access to Excel.
Yeah.
I have created a lot of problem sheets over the years, which I use. I teach people how to use Excel functions. They're very, very powerful, very useful functions in Excel, which everybody should know. And I teach them how to use that. And I also give pop quizzes as we go along. So almost at the end of every lecture, there's a multiple choice quiz.
Yeah.
Just figure out how much you've learned. And also some very, very interesting non-mathematical handouts, articles that I managed to collect over the years in finance. I share that with my participants. And once they go home, they could read up more. And if they have any questions on those, I'll answer those.
Oh, brilliant. So this is extremely experiential.
Yes, it is.
Right? I mean, it's live problem solving. You get to understand how it works.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you don't get involved, then you don't get too much out of it.
Yeah.
So to get something out of the workshop, you must be passionate.
Yeah.
And you must kind of push the professor and challenge him, ask and get the most out of it.
Hey man,
if you're silent, then
yeah. I mean, if the deal is to make sure that you retire at 40, you better ask the professor the questions that you really need to ask, because then you will actually be able to retire at 40. Tall claims, but yeah, I'm just saying it's possible, right?
It is possible. There are people who've done it.
Yeah. I mean, just by investing.
just by invest. This is not a man who retired at 40.
Yeah.
This was a 80-year-old man.
Wow.
Who told me he began building an equity portfolio decades ago.
Okay.
And when he was 80, he was earning 35,000 rupees a month by way of dividends from stocks.
What?
And it's all tax free. Dividends are tax free.
Wow, yeah.
So 4,20,000 a year,
Yeah.
tax free money from his equity portfolio.
When was this?
This happened about 15 years back.
Wow, 35,000 back then was a big deal.
It was a lot of money. And he said, I don't believe in mutual funds.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why not, but
Yeah.
he didn't believe in mutual funds.
Yeah.
He said, I built my own portfolio from scratch,
Yeah.
and I earn 35,000 rupees a month.
It's never too late, man. And the earlier you do this, I think the easier it is going to be when you actually retire and you can have a lump sum that keeps coming to you every month. You'll get to know all of these secrets if you subscribe to the Prof's classes on Gigsy and those in-person workshops. They're really going to help you. So if you have any questions for the Prof, please type away. We are taking questions. You have a little chat box right there. Ooh, somebody's asking a question. Will your channel content be of use to someone still at high school, say 11th or 12th?
Definitely. Financial literacy begins at a young age these days.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say even 11th and 12th standard students, not necessarily commerce students.
Yeah.
You may be an art student or a science student.
Yeah.
You need to know something about basics of accounting. You need to know how to compute interest. You need to know how a housing loan works. You need to know what is a mutual fund. So definitely there is something for you. I don't see why not.
Absolutely. So I think, to answer that question very simply, yes, no doubt about it. Never too late to start, never too early to start. And you're welcome. So I know of a guy who is barely 20, 21, and he's already started investing 2,000 rupees in a month for SIP purposes, right? And I mean, I didn't have the knowledge back then to do this so early, but either way, there are other people who started it. So I don't think it's too early or too late at any point.
Start young. I mean, they say that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
If somebody had invested
Yeah.
$1 when Jesus was born 2,000 years ago at 1% interest, he'd have crores of dollars. That's the power of compounding. And give it time. It's not necessary that you must save large amounts of money, but give that money time to grow. That's how you grow wealthy, which means you start early in your teens or when you're in early 20s. By the time you're 45, 50, you could have a lot of money.
Prof, we'll talk offline.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, personally.
Definitely. Why not?
Because all of this is making me, sort of start thinking about what needs to be done next. So I'm already excited. And you should as well be very excited to actually subscribe to the Prof. I know a couple of people who are already very interested, women who want to subscribe to the workshops.
Great.
So, you should do it. You should subscribe to the Prof, get this going, and ultimately, make financial sense out of finance, so to speak. Yeah. Any last few sentences, words that you want to tell the people out there?
No, I'm really looking forward to this. This will be a great platform for me and for you, and it'll be interesting to interact with people in a classroom, get to know them better. And in case somebody wants to experience the articles for some time and then enroll for the workshop, they're welcome to do that as well. And let me know if you're looking for something in specific. I can tailor make articles for a specific audience. And I'm very excited, and I hope it works well for everyone.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a very engagement-based platform. Gigsy was always meant to be doing that, engaging with people and creators alike, so that there is enough camaraderie, there's enough information flow, and people get to understand what's happening as part of the creator's journey. And given the fact that the Prof is the first finance expert on Gigsy, I think it makes a lot more sense for folks to subscribe and get a lot of news and impetus and articles that they're really going to be very excited about. So make sure you tune in, and we'll have the full-length version of the interview also going out to all you folks, and you can take a look at it then. But in terms of just understanding how to manage your wealth, how to manage your money, you should be subscribing to the Prof on gigsy.in/PROF_SKP, Prof_SKP. So do so. Create your account for free on Gigsy.in. Access the link. You'll get all the details. Subscribe to the prof's classes. Spread the word. This is happening for a cause, and this is happening to make sure that it's a small step for making people literate, right?
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
giving them all the infrastructure in the world. So the larger goal, obviously, is to move towards the greater good of the country.
Right. And they need not have any prior knowledge.
Yeah.
This will start from first principles. So don't worry about not being equipped for this course.
Yeah.
It doesn't require any high level skills.
Yeah.
And I'll handhold you and take you all the way.
Brilliant. With that, I think we are ending on a superb note. So thank you very much, Prof.
Thanks very much
for joining us on this freewheeling chat. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Especially around the cricket
yes.
questions.
And I hope to see some more matches.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, signing off, people. Bye.
Bye-bye.